Rabbit Hole Roundup, episode 83. Happy Gilmore 2. Hit or miss?
Grizzly Adams did have a beard.
So guys, in today's edition of the Rabbit Hole Roundup, I have a ton of opinions and thoughts and takes, so not as many clips as usual, but I do happen to have some really great stories and pop culture opinions and sports topics that I want to speak on. So first off, I'll be giving my thoughts on Happy Gilmore 2.
But even when you're at the top of your game, you can always shank one.
And some of you might hate me for this. Well, I'm sure like others of you are going to agree with me. But just to be clear, I didn't hate the movie. And of course, it's nothing against Adam Sandler. But I don't think the movie lived up to the potential and the hype. It did have like a solid outline and like a solid outer story. But it just lost the plot and got too stupid for my liking at least. I'm going to be diving deeper into the specifics, of course. Then I also saw the new Superman movie last week. And all the politics aside, which I won't be getting into, I thought it was a really good, solid movie overall. I'm still more of a Marvel and Avengers fan, but this was still a really good movie. Not perfect, but it did have some really good scenes and well-played characters. Then moving into the whole music world, I have a super inspiring Hoodie Allen story about how like he recently had his biggest hit 15 years into his music career. And I also have another addition to the Song of the Summer. Then moving into the world of sports, I want to share Ichiro's Hall of Fame speech, which underscored the importance of taking accountability and doing what needs to be done every day, and then looking at yourself in the mirror and making sure that like you gave it your all.
Well, if you guys love Ichiro and Matsui so much, let's order them both.
And then as we also have Luka Doncic graced the cover of Men's Health, and I'm going to be talking about why the rest of the NBA needs to watch out. And finally, I have a clip on mental health and a reminder that like your feelings don't mean that there's something wrong with you, and why they actually indicate everything right about you. I may also have some MLB or Big 3 thoughts if something relevant comes up. Anyways, without further ado, let's dive deeper now. Rabbit hole time, let's go.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Jared Weiss. If you guys know, it must mean not subscribe to the channel, so you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment, let me know your thoughts on the video. Follow me on every platform, and if you guys haven't done so already, make sure to check out my book, Fight Through It by Jared Weiss. All links purchased on my website, which is jaredbryanweiss.com. That's JAREDRYANWEISS.com. Buy the book, support me, and also make sure to check out all the awesome shirts I have in there as well. Every shirt is like 100% organic content. Every shirt is like its own motivational saying, so that's words in it. So like, what could be better than all that? Anyways, any support at all, as always, is very much appreciated. So let's dive deeper now. So the first topic I want to dive into is the new Happy Gilmore movie. Now just to be clear, this is just my opinion. So even if you feel totally different from me, that's okay.
You hate me, don't you? No, I don't hate you.
Also, just to be clear, I am a huge fan of Happy Gilmore 1, and this is one of my all-time favorite movies, and I can't ever play golf or mini-golf without quoting the movie like a minimum of 5 times at least. And Adam Sandler has always been one of my all-time favorite actors, whether it's The Longest Yard, Click, Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore 1, 50 First Dates, or even more recently, Hustle, which was an incredible movie, and which was actually a more serious, inspiring sports movie. So now, time to stop stalling. I thought the premise behind Happy Gilmore 2 was great. The whole outer story was good, although I don't think they had to kill off the wife to make it happen. But the whole idea of Happy Gilmore coming back after 30 years of retirement was awesome, and I even liked the whole motivation when it came to putting his daughter through ballet school. And he was like someone who was going through a rough time, and he had to get his life back in order and back on track.
Happy Gilmore sucks?
So all good stuff. So the outer story and the outer outline I liked, but the execution in the middle I thought was really stupid. And of course, the first Happy Gilmore movie isn't super serious either, but this one just felt like outrageously stupid. I mean, it's one thing when he goes after the clown at the mini golf course.
You're gonna die, clown! You think that's funny?
Or when Chubbs gets his hand bit off by an alligator, or of course the whole Mr. lady.
Mister! Get this off of me! Mister!
But in this one, it was like the golf cart that he was driving goes flying off, and yet Happy walks off totally okay. Or how the character who was played by Eminem got killed by being eaten by a bunch of alligators. And you also didn't have to make Shooter McGavin into a crazy psychotic mental patient. And I don't know what the obsession in the movie was with all the guys who were showing their butts. I mean, we don't have to see that.
Dude, put that thing away. They're like children here.
The first movie, I thought, in spite of all the silliness, still stayed on purpose and was able to maintain the sweetness of doing everything for the grandma and like just felt more genuine. In this one, I didn't feel the sweetness for the daughter. And why did like he have to make his sons into complete morons? just way too much stupidity that lost the plot for me. Now another point I want to make is that I always tell everyone how I hate stupid funny movies, and my limit for them is always going to be Billy Madison. That's the stupidest it can get for me, but I'll still tolerate it and I'll still like it and find it funny.
Everybody on? Good. Great. Grand. Wonderful. No yelling on the bus.
But it has to have a purpose. I don't like the whole not real stupidity. Now on the positive side of things, I thought it started to build some momentum in the middle of it, when Happy started training and started turning his life around, and I thought maybe it was going to end up good, and maybe the whole plot was going to be reignited, and I thought Ben Stiller's character was actually really good. That was definitely the right role for him, I think.
You're in my world now.
And Bad Bunny wasn't bad either. Also, it was funny seeing the guy who Happy Gilmore choked in the first one come back as one of the golfers, and also as a basketball fan. It was also funny seeing Boban Marjanovic come back in the movie as Mr. Larson's son.
My dad used to be your boss when you work in construction. I'm truly proud of you.
Little Drago Larson.
But I thought at times they tried too hard to give every cameo a one-liner and just felt forced. And I don't really think this movie had any memorable lines like the first one had. So overall, once again, great outline and great outer story, and it had a ton of potential, and I really did like all the nostalgia and all the flashbacks, but this was just too stupid for my liking, and it's just lost the plot in my opinion. If you guys felt differently or disagree, or if you guys do agree with me, let me know in the comments below. Next up, the next movie I saw this past week was actually the new Superman movie. Now, I'm not going to be getting into any of the politics or any of the potential politics takes. I may have done that in the past, but at this current time, we don't need any more division or any more negativity. So I just want to take the movie at face value. I liked it a lot and thought it was very well done. Now, I am someone who likes Marvel over DC, and still feel that way. But for a DC movie, it was very good. I also really like the message about how your parents give you the tools, but it's up to you to become who you're meant to be. I also thought the Lex Luthor character played the obsessed psychopath role really well, and I also really liked the guy who was able to morph his hand into kryptonite, but then he ends up saving Superman, and then Superman of course returns the favor by saving his son. I didn't love all the fight scenes. I mean, the whole thing with Lex Luthor calling out all the moves and saying all the buttons, L3, F5 or whatever, seemed a bit over the top for me. And that's something I've always loved about Marvel and the Avengers. The fight scenes in those movies seem to go for the perfect amount of time and seem more realistic, I think.
I am inevitable.
And also at times the whole superhero worship in this movie was a bit much, with how all the lay people were always waiting for Superman to save them, or how they were hating him and judging him for every single mistake that he made. But it was definitely a lot of fun, and it had a lot of levity, and some of the other heroes in the movie were really good as well, like Mr. Terrific. And my favorite part definitely was the Earth parents who were guiding him on his best path, in spite of what his real parents may have said, and may have sent the whole message about. But yet Superman didn't let that stop him from being good and from wanting to help people. So overall, a really good movie. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you guys saw it. Next up, I want to talk about an inspiring story coming from the music world, Hoodie Allen, as well as another song I want to add to the Song of the Summer list. So one of the songs I mentioned in that video talking about the Song of the Summer was Pretty Face by Hoodie Allen. So that is one of, if not my overall favorite song of the summer so far, which is of course a remake of Jesse McCartney's song Beautiful Soul. But what I didn't know is that, and I'm reading this from Hoodie Allen's Twitter post, 15 years into my career as an independent musician, and I'm about to have my largest streaming week ever with Pretty Face. This is someone whose previous peak to the public would be over 10 years ago. Don't give up, musician friends, just stay in the game and keep going. So 15 years into his career as an independent artist, and he just had his biggest streaming week ever as a musician. His previous peak was over 10 years ago, which I assume he's referring to the song No Interruption. Now, he also has had a lot of success in recent years, with all of his collaborations with Connor Price. But think about it, 15 years in, and he just had his biggest streaming week ever. And this is why you may think I'm crazy for still believing in all of my dreams, especially as a small content creator, but it's all it takes is for one thing to pop off, or one video that catches the algorithm in just the right way, and then all of a sudden everything can change for you. But beyond all that, I know that I'm providing value to people. And as I've said from the start, if it helps just one person, then it's worth it to me. And I know that I've helped thousands upon thousands of people, even as a smaller content creator. But I love what I'm doing, and I believe in it so strongly, with every ounce of my being. So my best stuff, and if you're someone who hasn't quote unquote made it yet, our best stuff and our biggest success is still yet to come. Also on the music topic, another song entered my Song of the Summer argument recently, and another one that's actually gone relatively under the radar, I think. So the song I'm referring to is Carrot Cake by Paul Russell. That song is a ton of fun, it has a really good vibe to it, and satisfies my song in the summer criteria of hip-hop/pop/party vibes. So let me know your thoughts on that story, and let me know if there's any of the songs like that I'm missing in that argument. Moving along to the topic of sports, I want to share a super powerful speech coming from Ichiro Suzuki at his Hall of Fame ceremony this past week, so let's watch together.
If you consistently do the little things, there's no limit what you can achieve. Look at me. I'm 5'11" and 170 pounds. When I came to America, many people said I was too skinny to compete with bigger major leaguers. The first time I ran out on the field, I was in awe of the competition. But I knew if I stuck to my beliefs about preparation, I could overcome the doubts, even my own. I have been asked, what's the best thing you can do for your team? My answer is taking responsibility for yourself. Being responsible for yourself means answering to yourself. When you go home at night and wonder why you didn't get a hit or you didn't make a catch, the honest answer is not because a great pitcher beat you or a tough sun was in your eyes. It's because there was something you could have done better. By taking responsibility for yourself, you support your teammates and you don't cheat the fans.
So the sense of personal excellence and taking accountability for your own actions is so key. Asking what can I do better, and this goes for sports, relationships, friendships, or even just like overall self-development. In order for all of us to be the best versions of ourselves and to help others, we need to be honest with ourselves and always try our best to turn our weaknesses into our strengths. Now, one caveat I want to make here is that if you're someone like me who can be extra hard on yourself, we don't want accountability to turn into guilt and shame.
You do everything wrong.
Not everything is our fault, and sometimes things happen beyond our control, no matter how hard we try. So beating yourself up about it isn't going to be healthy. In sports or in life sometimes, you do everything possible. You train the right way, you eat right, you prepare to the best of your ability, but some things happen beyond your control. You still end up missing the shots, you don't get the hits, the deal doesn't go right, and if you could be honest with yourself and say, I did everything I could, it just didn't work out, then you can make peace with that. But once again, the key word here is honest. If you didn't give it your all, and you left something on the table, then are you going to fix it and get back in the lab to become even better? So, well said, Ichiro. Congrats on a well-deserved Hall of Fame honor and an incredible career. Next up, sticking with the whole sports topic, as we all saw this past week, we have in-shape Luka Doncic for the first time in the past few years. Now, to be honest, I didn't ever remember Luka as ever being fast or like super high jumper, but if you watch his rookie and sophomore highlights, this guy was dunking on everybody. Now, I do think it's amazing and actually super impressive that Luka has been able to be so dominant and beat all these guys over the past few years, and still put up 30 game as well as all the other incredible performances while playing at like the slowest pace possible. That just shows his incredible feel for the game and like his super high basketball IQ. And now he's on the cover of Men's Health magazine. So it says here like that he was doing 2-a-day workouts, 16-hour fasts, aka intermittent fasting, which I believe in strongly myself, and think that like doing it is so important for giving the body a break, allowing the whole digestive system to have a break, and allowing your body to focus on other areas of healing, and doing this can also make the mind sharper too. Of course, not for everyone. And he's also having a high-protein, gluten-free, low-sugar diet. Now, having said that, I don't think that demonizing carbs is the healthy answer, but it can be good for a short period of time as like an overall reset. But if you're avoiding things like fruit, or sourdough bread, or even like rice, your body may have some issues when it comes to like performing at a high level. But for short-term weight loss, yes, of course, it can help you lose a lot of weight. And as far as the gluten-free stuff goes, I would guess that in Europe, he's probably not having the same issues, but in America when it comes to glyphosate, and the way that all these grains are processed in the US, with pesticides, herbicides, and all these other chemicals, if you're not buying organic, this could definitely lead to weight gain, health issues, and a ton of overall inflammation in the body. So I would definitely guess like doing this could help Luka to not look so bloated, and to not hold on so much weight, as like he's probably not going to be getting those same toxins. So are we going to see MVP level Luka this year? I wouldn't be surprised. And if he stays in shape for the whole season, the rest of the NBA better watch out. And to sum this idea up, I also want to share Austin Rivers' thoughts on the topic as far as like why he thinks like this time around it's going to be different.
Luka Doncic was on the cover of Men's Health, just recently posted. Every summer, we've done this thing with Luka. Look at him, he looks great. They did it with James before. Remember James had that picture of like walking down a mountain? And then he comes in the season and we're all like, Ben Simmons in the gym lifting. Enough. I'm tired of that.
But the Luka one's different because he got traded and because of all that stuff.
This is different. I know we've had this every summer with Luka where he looks a little bit lighter because he's playing a lot for his home country. And like he's definitely skinnier and people are like, oh, he's going to be better. And then he comes back and he's overweight. He's getting cut up for the sake of him. This might be the best Luka we've ever seen loading.
Yeah, especially when a lot of people are putting Shea over him now in those rankings. I was always Luka's spot.
If I'm the Lakers, man, I'm building around Luka, which they clearly are.
Yeah.
I would try to move LeBron. If you're an owner trying to make just a shit ton of money, LeBron James playing for your team, just even for 1 or 2 years, guarantees you hundreds of millions of dollars.
He was like, I think it was 6th in MVP voting this year. He had a great year.
That's what I'm saying. He can still play his ass off, not to mention the value of what he brings to a team. I'm going full set in Luka. I think LeBron being there, as good as he is still, unfortunately, requires him to have the ball in his hands a lot. Luka looks great, and this is real. This isn't like the summers before. This isn't like what we've done with Ben Simmons, where like Ben's been working on his jump shot. Every year you see clips of him in the gym with his trainer shooting jump shots. Not going to happen. But this is real. He looks great. We want the best version of Luka, and we want Luka to come back tenfold. He is, right now, a lot of people are starting to put him as a favorite as MVP because they're seeing this version of him like, oh,
Very interesting, and like I actually fully agree with that. Well said, Austin. And now finally in this week's episode, I have a super powerful mental health clip that reminds us that like feeling your feelings doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you.
It is okay to be depressed. It is okay to have anxiety. It is okay to feel bad. I think maybe that's the issue because we're in a space where, oh, you're depressed? There's something wrong with you. You have anxiety? Whoa. I had anxiety every day when I went to training. I always had anxiety. When I put my vest on and I was protecting the president, I would carry my MP5, which is like this weapon that basically like could go into automatic. You could cause serious damage. Like, I had anxiety. I'm like, man, is today the day? Those are okay things to have. So I feel like maybe we should change the narrative and normalize feeling bad. Instead of making people feel like you're sad, take this pill. You have anxiety, something's wrong with that. Why is that bad? Why do I have to be like every ridiculous commercial? Because in the US, we advertise prescription medication where I'm smiling all the time and happy. My barometer for life is not to be happy. The moments that I've done the most amazing things in my life, I've not been happy. I've been fulfilled. I've been like, man, I just did that.
So this is so important to remember. As I always say, social media is of course a double-edged sword, and I do think it can be used for great if you use it the right way and if you're intentional about it. I don't like when people only point out the flaws of social media and technology, especially when I've gotten so much benefit from it. And so many of us out there I know have gotten so many great benefits from it. However, one social media quote-unquote trap I want to get into is when people develop these self-diagnosed support groups, if that makes sense.
Squamous cell carcinoma.
You're not a doctor. You shouldn't even have books like
George.
So what do I mean by this? Some people will feel depressed or anxious, and this is normal, as she just said. But a feeling doesn't have to be permanent, and doesn't have to become your overall identity. It's like some people out there will see all these other people talking about anxiety and depression, and it becomes, I have this, I will always have this, and so therefore I'm not going to do anything to improve my overall mental health. And it's a problem when a bunch of clips I see out here, and some of these clips will blow up on these apps where people are just talking about, where it's like you have people who are talking about their pain, which I think is great and real, and it's definitely relatable, but oftentimes these clips aren't giving anyone a path out. We're not reminding you that like this is temporary and it won't last forever because it doesn't have to last forever. You have to feel in order to heal, but then you may also have to change your environment, change up the people who are in your life, change up your diet, detoxify. Or maybe it's just like a season of your life. But remember, these feelings are normal and don't mean there's something wrong with you. Feeling your feelings is actually what's right about you as far as I see it. As a highly sensitive person, I used to think like this meant I was weak, but now I see this as a strength and a superpower. Next up, I'm going to be adding some MLB and Big 3 thoughts from this past weekend. If something interesting happens, now. So guys, this week's trade deadline in baseball was actually super eventful and like super exciting. So we saw the Mets get Ryan Helsley from the Cardinals, an insanely good reliever and closer, who's going to be showing up probably the best bullpen in baseball as of right now. I mean, that bullpen is going to be scary to face in October. Helsley, Diaz, and they also got Ty Rogers from the Giants. And they also added on solid outfielder Cedric Mullins from the Orioles, who was another team who was in sell mode. And speaking of which, one of my favorite pitchers, Charlie Morton, went to the Tigers where he's now in a win situation. And I think that's like a really good move, both for him and for that team. Then my favorite team, the Yankees, made some decent moves. Nothing too big, but like they did get Jose Caballero from the Rays, Bird and Bednar, who should be like really great relievers, and some other solid bullpen guys, along with Ryan McMahon from the Rockies. A pretty solid power hitter, I would say. Also, I have no clue what's going on with the San Francisco Giants. I mean, like, after trading for Rafael Devers at the start of the season, and the team is actually still around 500, but yet the Giants basically sold away their whole team at the deadline. I mean, Mikey Shremsky to the Royals, Ty Rogers to the Mets, and basically all the rest of their pitchers, so I'm not exactly sure what that team's trying to do. Both Mason Miller and JP Sears went to the Padres. Adrian Hauser, a really good pitcher from the White Sox, got traded to the Tampa Bay Rays. As I said, both Jake Bird and also Bednar from the Pirates went to the Yankees. The Padres also got Ramon Laureano and Ryan O'Hearn from the Orioles. Carlos Correa went back to the Astros for a reunion. And Shane Bieber, the former Cy Young winner, went to the Blue Jays. So I'm not going to go through every single trade that happened, but those happen to be the biggest ones in my opinion. I think like what we learned through this trade deadline is that in this current day and age, relievers and bullpen are the name of the game, especially because most starting pitchers aren't going more than 5 or 6 innings, aside from like the best guys and the aces, so you better have a ton of support backing those guys up. Also, I don't think like anyone saw the Blue Jays or Tigers as being some of the top teams in baseball right now, but it's going to be very interesting to see who's there at the end. I also think the Mets won the trade deadline and probably have like the strongest team out there right now and are clearly in win now mode. But of course, you can never count out the Dodgers or the Yankees, who's my favorite team. Who, speaking of my team, Giancarlo Stanton has been great ever since coming back from his injury, but we're also going to have to see where Judge is at when he comes back from his injury. Also in other sports news, what the hell is going on with Gilbert Arenas? His podcast, Gil's Arena, has actually been like one of my favorite over the past few years, but what is he doing with this whole illegal gambling and casino stuff? I mean, to be honest, it sounds like something he would have made fun of others for on his podcast. And hey, I love how like authentic he is, and he just seems to always tell you exactly what's on his mind, with no filter, which isn't always a good thing. And when you have that whole attitude on life, I guess, sometimes you get into too much trouble. You have to know when to be more mature, and how to be responsible for your actions. Now, having said that, it sounds to me like a lot of what he did, the reason why he's being arrested, is because the government, as we know, wants to get their hands on that money. So like me personally, I don't think this should be like a huge issue, and maybe he didn't do it. It's possible like he wasn't a part of it, but he did say like he's going to be snitching to avoid jail time. But like between him, Marcus Morris, and Shannon Sharp, all in the same week, why are all these guys connected to Stephen A. Smith? I've been seeing plenty of jokes out there that maybe Stephen A. has been wearing a wire, and at this point, I don't doubt anything. I also saw like a hilarious meme the other day, and the meme said, MFers in prison league, hearing they gotta play Gilbert Arenas, Malik Beasley, Terry Rozier, Glenn Davis, Marcus Morris, and Jonte Porter. It's basically the longest road of basketball. Hilarious, of course, but like, I don't get why these guys are so greedy. I mean, don't all these guys make enough money as is? What's the purpose of gambling not only the money, but like with your life, basically? Anyways, in other basketball-related news, in the Big Three this week, we saw Jonathan Simmons, a potential MVP candidate, and his team, the Boston Ballhogs, beat the Detroit Amps, without Joe Johnson, of course, who's still hurt. Pargo has been playing great, though, in his absence, but Simmons dropped 22 points, and also had like a monster dunk, and they got the win to improve to 4-3. The Dallas Power knocked off the Houston Righhands, led by Glenn Rice, who had 20 points, and also DeJuan Summers and TJ Klein chipped in with some great games of their own, as they moved to 5-2. The DMV Trilogy upset the LA Riot. There was a huge battle in that game between Dwight Howard and Isaiah Austin. Dwight had 18 points and 17 rebounds in a dominant effort, but Isaiah Austin actually put up a huge fight and had some key blocks on defense. Earl Clark led the way for Trilogy with 23 points of his own, and Frank Nitti had a great game as well, and did another surprising win, in my opinion at least. The Chicago Triplets beat my favorite team, Miami 305. This game got chippy, of course, between Nasir Kaur and Lance Stevenson. Of course, because who else is going to be getting into a fight? But Montrezl Harrell had a monster game. He had 28 points and 9 rebounds, and they were able to beat Michael Beasley and Lance Stevenson, who had 17 points and 14 points themselves, but it wasn't enough. Anyways, that's your sports news and sports recap for the week. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the topics. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on any of my takes. Let me know your favorite topic. I will catch you guys next time. Stay positive, stay hustling, stay grinding. Catch you next time. Peace.